Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. We would like to welcome you to the next Wasteless World Talks. Today's topic, rights. And because I have Bill at the top of the screen, Bill, if you close your eyes and you hear the term rights, what came first to your mind?
A negative response. I hear the word rights too often. It's my right. You can't take away my rights. You can't. And I don't hear the word responsibility enough. It's my responsibility. They got to go together. So, rights. We hear the word rights a lot.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Kevin? What do you?
I agree with Bill. Somehow rights, it feels like some that we've been allocated. It feels like something that someone has given us. Here, you can have this, and then behave. So I'm not completely positive about it either. But the one thing I am sure about is that rights are not a personal thing, they're a shared thing. If we have rights, we must accept other people's rights at the same time. It's not an individual, it's a social contract.
I would like to say to everyone that today's topic is connected to a work which we did together with Bill and Kevin for several months. And today generally was released the Declaration of Human Rights and Responsibilities on a global scale. So today is the 26th of June, 2024, and we release it to be available to everyone. So this is just side information, which is important. Of course, I had a discussion at the noontime, and we came to several quite interesting topics. And one of the questions was, does nature have rights? I mean, are rights in nature? This is better to put a question like this. Are rights, as we know them, in nature?
I'll take a crack at that. We have in previous discussions talked about nature, trees, forest, ocean, whatever, having some level of intelligence or ability to communicate, certainly an ability to speak to our inner self, right? This is on a different level than just people. But I go to the ocean. It speaks to me. I take my grief to the ocean. It calms me, right? And we talked earlier about how trees and shrubs, through their roots or through their whatever, they talk to each other. They warn each other of pests or whatever. There is so much out there that we do not recognize that it makes me feel part of the whole world. So I look at a tree. My 6-year-old grandson, the arborists came and chopped down a tree on the neighbor's yard. He started to cry. I think we're all connected. I think we don't recognize it. So I would have to answer your question, Michael, in the affirmative. Yes, they have rights. Nature has rights. We may not have recognized them, but they do.
Thank you. What about you, Kevin?
I think that nature has a natural order, and that everything fits into that natural order, and everything runs on that natural order. So as a buffalo is about to be eaten by a lion, it can discuss rights all at once, but it's not going to get very far with them because there is a natural order to everything. And by breaking that order would be breaking what we call rights. Because with the natural order, there's an expectation. And I think that's where it crosses into our world, because with our rights come certain expectations which must be upheld.
you know, one of the reasons why we spent the time on writing the declaration was that we have been missing the responsibilities. There was only one part, and just now you express it as well, that there is I like the term order in the connection. Can in English, can these words be switched, order and rights, or used in the same sentence in the same meaning? In Czech, we can do it. Not sure how it is in English.
Not directly.
Not okay.
And I think that the word rights has become so loaded and bastardized that the word order certainly has not, because we don't use it, and it's not been hijacked for other purposes.
It's generally probably similar to the word waste. Everybody thinks today that we must waste. The reality is we must not. It's our decision. And the people think that nature is wasting. Nature is not wasting, because we have this. We have came with the time, so with the term, and I think so. It can be quite interesting to compare. And yeah, so why are the human rights, or why are the rights so screw up in a society that the first what you see are the negatives?
Yeah, how did that happen?
But it's the same with the Ten Commandments. It's mostly what you shouldn't do, hence commandments, rather than instructions to what you should do.
In general, what is strange to me that the people who introduce the rights usually are the first to break the same rights.
Right, right, right. The word that's very close to rights is respect, but that has not become bastardized. So I have respect for you, which means I recognize your rights, that I don't trample on your rights, or I don't trespass on your rights, because I respect you.
Yeah, what was it you said once, Bill? Your father said that your rights end at the beginning of someone's nose, or something like that.
Your rights to swing your arms. You have a right to move, and your right to swing your arms ends at at the other guy's nose. And it's the same way. You have a freedom of speech, but that freedom of speech ends when you think about going into a crowded theater and yelling fire, right? There's a limit to all rights.
It's interesting. I've been following the discussion about wokeness and how that corrupts the language. It really accelerates language corruption and the hijacking of words.
You know, we are having this discussion just one day after the release of Julian Assange. One day. And he was released from jail because he was found guilty. That's so interesting. But today he can protect himself in front of the judge, and he was set free finally, I think. 14 years he spent in jail, or let's call it jail. He was not all the time in a standard jail, but 14 years for releasing information, for releasing the truth. You know, it's...
The giants have to protect their power.
Yeah, there's this great line from The Clash. They say you have the right to free speech as long as you're not dumb enough to actually try it. That, I think it's really reassuring.
There's a lot of things which are really, I think, I see it as an indication how the giants are weaker and weaker. So they are applying more power, they're applying fear, they're applying a lot of things, including the change of rights. Because one of the questions which we had at the noontime was, with all the new technology, with AI, computers, mobile phones, and everything, do we have more rights or less?
That's a very good question, and close to a question that my clients have begun to ask, and that is on the topic of stratification in society. With all the technology that's come along, is there more stratification or less stratification? And the answer seems to indicate that with some technologies there is more, with some technologies there is less, or really each technology has a list of ways in which it improves the stratification, ways in which it makes the stratification more more stratified or worse for society. But the discussion of stratification with the technologies is we have to do it. We have to understand what the effect on the stratification is. This making poor people better off? And some of them, so for example, the ability to Zoom like we're doing now, or telehealth, or remote learning helps poor people. It helps people in the rural areas. It helps people in underdeveloped countries if they can just plug in, turn on their computer, and then they can learn. Whereas before they had to walk for 5 miles or something like that. So that's a positive way. And there's a list of positives and negatives that we need to talk about.
Have you noticed the let's call it the test, how the people take mobile phones and connection to internet to Aborigines? It's not so. Few weeks ago it was released. They took it somewhere to the jungle. They really have their smartphones and the connections. The people get immediately addicted. Immediately addiction to technology. They stop to work. They stop to talk. They stop to feed themselves almost. So the elders said, no, take it away. We don't want it. But there will be a permanent harm to the society, because someone will say, but there was a heaven here with the technology. It was, I don't like to call it test, but it was really a scientific test, and just recently it was released. So not really positive. So because I think that if we implement the technology without the, let's say, sharing the fact that it can not only help, but it can even damage, then it's not a good way. But unfortunately, everybody who is selling the technology is speaking only about the good things. Of course, it's a salesman. So this is, I think, very important.
And there's one.
Kevin, you try to speak, but your microphone is off.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to add that the Los Angeles, California school district, which is the second largest in the country, has banned cell phones for exactly that reason. For exactly that reason.
I think one really miserable side of technology is the fact that with mobile technology, especially we have now, we're able to express ourselves all we want. And now what happens is that we're censored for that. There are thought police out there who are waiting to comment on everything we say. And now, if you don't agree with them, you either censor yourself or you will be kicked off of the platforms, or this will happen or that will happen. There's so much censure now that we do actually have people who think they can police our thoughts, because technology encourages us to express our thoughts much more than we ever did.
I don't know if you noticed, but LinkedIn implemented last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago. It's quite fresh. It's called activity rating or something like that. It's called activity whatever. And do you know what they recommend as an optimal number of actions per week? 3. I am not joking. 3 posts or comments together. 3 per week. I am right now. You can find it under your profile picture. There are a number of comments, and there is the second one. If you click on it, you will see it. So it's part of the analytics. You know, today, just before this meeting, I checked my rating, and there is a chart, a round chart, which says out of 3. And my number is 141 out of 3. and we are on the 3rd day of the week. It's starting really from Monday. I check it this week. I was really careful. I check it. I started really with 0 of 3 for a few minutes. After that, I boosted. And I'm not sure if they would like me to test the next frontier, the digital frontier of the digital infinity. You know, I several times I break it already, because 3 per week means LinkedIn will be dead. So simple.
Why would they say that? Because that is going to encourage people to use LinkedIn less.
I think that the intention was, at least I imagine that the artificial intelligence is advising them already, because, you know, so everyone. And I think that the artificial intelligence says, okay, you have trouble with the data volumes which the people generate. So the solution is, let's encourage them to have less. Not thinking about the consequence, because if there will be 3 per week, it will be dead, simply dead, because many people, I know I am too active, but 3 per week is nothing. It will be a dead LinkedIn. It will be a desert, nothing else.
I mean, what's wrong with anti-social media?
You name it.
We can all go on there and ignore each other.
You know, I just before we started, I saw a short clip on LinkedIn. Somebody placed it. Lambs, young lambs, are running out of the cages, and there is standing the shepherd's dog in front of the gate. And they stopped and turned back and ran back. And he doesn't have to say a single word. He does not have to bark. He was just standing there. It was so fascinating video that I will share it with you if I will find it, because there is so much. But it was very, very interesting. Very interesting.
So this perhaps is the sort of conversation that should be had at length whenever a new technology is introduced. And there should be some lawmakers or ethicists, ethical scholars who say, well, this is maybe not desirable, or maybe this is something, you know, it's like critical thinking, right? If you don't ever talk about it and discuss propaganda or different ways to handle what's going on in the world, if we don't teach our kids how to do it, we're cooked. So it's the same way with technologies. Is there needs to be discussion and maybe even instructions on how to handle a cell phone, what you do and don't do with a cell phone, things to be careful, be cautious if you start doing this, or 3 LinkedIn transactions a week. That's fascinating. I have to read more about that.
Perhaps this should be a LinkedIn on using artificial intelligence only 3 times a week as well.
Nice one, Kevin. Nice one. You have a. I think you are growing a strong giants in your garden. Who will be not happy at all? Not happy at all with these comments, which is great. You know, the biggest issue is that if the people who are responsible are meeting, there are people meeting who like to have the artificial intelligence. They don't have the critical thinking in this way, and then don't let anyone with the critical thinking to go there. You know, currently they are running 2 sustainability events in Europe, one in Brussels, the second somewhere in Southeast Europe, Romania, I am not sure. Both of them, of course, I try to be part. No, of course not. They don't want me. They don't want anyone who would like to, who will say different things about their toys, about what they love, what they care for. No, no. And just now, before we started, there was a post by someone, awards of bestseller or of whatever. And I was just thinking, okay, so where will be the first award for reduced or for savings or for something like that? No, all the awards are for boosting up something, making more of something. This is what is being awarded. The growth or a reduction or saving, even saving, nobody speaks about. There was just a quite interesting post by one of the industrial developers here in my country who really damaged the country hugely with huge buildings filled with air, as I said all the time, the distribution center, logistic, and he connected with Amazon. Because Amazon at the moment has, I think, 3 quite large warehouses here in the country. And of course, everything is green and everything is so. So I asked him, and he offered at the end, if somebody would like to know more, write me, I will send you the full report. So I put my comment on it and I asked him whether there is about how long the people work there. I mean, the duration of the time, or how much trucks has increased and how many are empty. And so you know my questions. So I asked him a few, and he replied that I can check it on Amazon warehouse, on Amazon annual report that they wrote it there. So he was not able to share the information which he promoted before because he knows very well what he is doing. You know, the issue is that he has the right to damage because he is rich. He has the right. He simply feel he has the right to promote it because he does good. Coca-Cola has the right to promote drinks. Coca-Cola is at the same time, last year, it was named the most sustainable company in the world. And 1 month later, the biggest plastic polluter in the world. Same company, same name. They have the right to do. That's the issue.
But a lot of it is down to our perception. You know, we want to be fooled. We want to be lied to, it seems to me. It's just the reason I think was in England, if you drive, you have your driving license. If you do something wrong, you're given penalty points. And I think if you accumulate 9 points, you lose your license. And the only country which does it the other way around is Italy, at least the only one I know of. And I think it's brilliant because there you start off with however many points, 9 or 10 points. And every time you do something wrong, they take points away. And I think that's a much more powerful punishment to lose something rather than to gain something.
You know, it's quite interesting what you said, because when I was a child and I like a long-term running and long distance running, and I like it on a small circle. So 300 meter circles, I like to run 3 kilometers or 10 kilometers, simply just going ground. And I realized quite early that it is for me much more easier to count from 30 to 0 than from 0 to 30, because the second one, from 0 to 30, make me tired. The 30 from 0 encourage me. Such a small thing, but I did it all the time. This is why I like small circles, because if it's too long and it's one only, it cannot apply this. And then I try to do it in a job and so on, and it really somehow differently work with the brain. So you are absolutely right, I think.
But I think also the chutzpah of the giants, the fact that you can say Coca-Cola is the most sustainable company in the world. I mean, it's just on the face of it so ludicrous that you think just out of pure shame they wouldn't do it. But then, of course, they have no shame.
You know, COP27, Coca-Cola main sponsor. One of the conferences, the conference in Brussels, ESG conference running yesterday and today, Coca-Cola is the sponsor. Platinum sponsor, I'd say. So if we really will be able to have the rights, and you tell it at the, I think it was you, Bill, at the beginning, that the rights should be same for everyone. I think in connection with nature, because in nature does not care if you are big, small, have four legs or two. The rules of nature are the same. So probably the rights are the same. And the question is, and again, please apologize me for the question, in English, rules and the rights, is there any connections?
They're intertwined. Usually, if you we're given a set of rights, if you break the rules, you lose your rights.
So they
Usually
are
the right to
connected.
freedom.
So they are connected.
Yeah.
So why do we have a rules of nature? And I never heard about the right of nature, if I do not speak as a person about the rights of nature, which we should protect. But this is another slightly different approach. So we use only rules of nature. That's interesting. Rules of physics, not rights of physics. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And the problem is that every time we write a rule about nature or physics, we find out a few years later that it doesn't work.
I just had today in the morning the 100th talk about nothing. This is the Czech talk. And I have the very first man who was on the first one, so Rudolf. And it was fascinating discussion, really. I am so sorry that you do not understand Czech. And we discuss among others because both of us, we are logisticians. And we came to the moment when the logisticians lost generally their original function to be able to manage huge spaces and so on, a number of soldiers and so on. But we become, I call it all the time, firefighters who fight the fire by setting up the next one. This is logistician today, operational stuff. And we thought about it, discussed about it, and he said, you know why it changed? Because the logistician allow it to change. Because they feel like the superheroes. Everybody come in a factory. If there is a problem, everybody come to the logistician. Can you solve it? Can we have it earlier? Can we deliver? And so on. So logistician is like a superhero, you know. And it feels so good to be the superhero. So we switch the logistician switch the overall picture for the role of hero and become operatives instead of somebody who is really leading on a scale which nobody else is able to do.
And if you think about it, a lot of our heroes bend the rules. That's what makes them heroes.
That's right. And in some way, the logisticians do as well, because they know what they can do and they know what is still workable.
Yeah, actually, a lot of anti-heroes also bend the rules. I think that with the Olympics coming up, I think it's such a shame that the winners are divided up into which country they come from. I think it would be much better if it was awarded to the pharmaceutical company they represent.
You say that tongue in cheek, but it's so true. Somebody made the suggestion that just like the race car drivers wear their jackets and they have their sponsors on the jackets, the politicians should wear jackets like that also.
I don't know whether you have heard it, and I'm not sure if it was fake information or not, but I think it was true. Somebody, uh, I think Jeff Bezos, not sure about Elon Musk, but somebody of the rich ones would like to fund an Olympics which will be not limited to the people who did not take any drugs. So it will be the very opposite. So they would like to show what, at least this is the explanation, they would like to show what is a human able to do when he is somehow supported by drugs. And it was a serious proposal. It was in French. I think it was in French media. And some of the big names show up. And just day before yesterday, Elon Musk announced, I don't know whether you have seen his speech. He spoke about Tesla produced a robot, humanoid robot called Optimus. That's known for some time already. And he said that till the end of next year, he will be able to launch this robots really in a real world. The cost should be somewhere about 20,000 US dollars, which is quite cheap for this type of robot. And he said that already today, the robots movement of the hands, human has 27 ways and the robot has 22. So it's really quite close. It's black and white, and you can find it. But you know, listening to him, it was like reading reverse the RUR by Karel Čapek. Jumping into the stupidity. I don't know how to call it. So, because not a good way. Not a good way. And he, again, who make the rules? Nobody will stop him. It's Elon Musk.
Did you see the launch of the rockets? Was it yesterday or today?
I think it was yesterday. These two rockets, which then landed both at the same time.
I still am amazed by this. You think you get tired of what you see, but seeing those two boosters come back down and landing simultaneously is incredible. It's such a fantastic thing.
There is only one issue, or a big issue, which finally even NASA spoke about, but does not want to do more generally, is the volume of trash which is being carried to the orbit. So in 2017, it was 100, I have it in my presentation, 170 million pieces of space trash above there. We are 7 years later. So I think that it's at least double. And some scientist from Germany just recently says that it really, this huge amount of rockets shipped to the space make a lot of trouble with the ozone zone and with everything what's generally connected, including the trash. And you probably have read that the Boeing crew, so I don't know how it's called, their rocket, which are right now at the space station, they cannot be picked up back. They are there, they are stuck there. They should be there 1 week. Right now, the prediction is that they will be there at least 1 month, because there are some troubles on the space, on the rocket, and the NASA will not allow to send send it there to pick them up.
Now, Boeing has had a bad couple of years.
I know.
But I saw when I was watching this rocket launch that even the covers of the satellite on Elon Musk's rocket, they come back down, are recovered and reused.
In this way, I'm really, really happy about the development. On the other hand, when he speaks about having 1 million people on Mars by 2030, I know it's generally not realistic. No matter what and how much what he will do, simply it's not realistic. And if there will be one big grave for 1 million people. We have 2.5 minutes left.
It goes quickly.
A right topic.
So did we discuss what is the opposite of rights?
Oh. I don't know. Is it responsibilities? I don't think so.
No, they go hand in glove somehow, rights and responsibilities.
The fact is that the first response when I launched the declaration today was a very positive one. And it's result in one very strange thing, that the counters which I have on media, despite the fact that I will say several hundred people responded, show zero views. You know, it's not me who has the counter in my hands. It's so easy to modify, but it's a great time that we use the tool. You know, Zoom, you mentioned it. We have Zoom, we use it. When there will be no Zoom, there are other tools, but still, we can use it, we can share it. What they can do, they can cut us down, that's one thing. They can close my account, that's the next one. But still, the message is there. And I think this is why it is so important to meet every single week. Do you know just, what is your estimation? How many hours we spoke already?
No idea.
57.
Wow.
57 hours spent in Wasteless World Talks. And I would like to thank you for all that time. And I would like to wish you have a nice time. And everyone who is listening, have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human. And don't bend your back when there are giants. The rules are there to protect us, not the giants. Thanks a lot and have a nice time. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.